Well, we don't get a lot of CEOs of the fastest growing tech companies on stage, so thanks for being here, bro.
Super excited to be here.
Tell us a little bit about Filevine. You guys are crushing it.
Oh, well, thank you. Filevine sells case management to document management as well to lawyers within government, business, and of course, law firms. So our customers are all over the country, law firms big and small. Some of the biggest in the country, Skadden, Cravath. Some of the biggest businesses in the country, Kroger, FedEx, Johnson & Johnson. But in almost every case, we're handling kind of legal files for customers. It's a pretty scaled business. At this point, something like 20 million documents every day get added to our system.
20 million documents a day? Gosh.
Lawyers are really into paper. They do a lot.
It's funny you bring up lawyers. Yesterday, someone on stage said, because of ChatGPT, we might not need lawyers anymore.
Boy, that would be really bad for my business. I don't, from what I can tell you, and our lawyers use a lot of AI, that's a long way off, but AI is completely transforming legal tech. And so, we have been a boring, steady, growing business for a long time, and post sort of AI in 2023, that is accelerated dramatically because so many of our customers.
Yeah, tell us, so I mean, one of the areas where big data has always struggled is unstructured data.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You have
a lot.
Gobs of unstructured data. So AI is transforming your business. You're kind of on the cutting edge of how you're using AI. Tell us a little about how you guys are using it and how it's affecting your business.
Yeah, thank you. So we do a ton. So not only do we have all these documents, but we have every note that you have. And whenever you talk to a lawyer, that lawyer is writing down what you say and posting a note to the file. There's tasks, there's deadlines, there's text messages, there's emails. It's everywhere. And we use AI to do a ton of unstructured to structured data. We can prepare letters with AI just based on the information in the case file. We recently released a product called Chat with Your Case that takes every single thing in the case file, which is thousands, hundreds of thousands of data points, and you can just ask it a question. So you can say things like, what's my next deadline? And it'll pick it up no matter where it is. So it might be in the right field, it might be in a document, it might be in an email. It's pretty amazing.
So tell me why you started it in the first place. What was bothering you? What did you need to fix?
I was a lawyer who didn't want to make a mistake, and when lawyers make mistakes, it's a really big deal. It's a really big deal. They can get in trouble, they can get sued, and lawyers are kind of brought on to not make mistakes.
Right.
So for me, knowing what I needed to do in a day as a lawyer was super important, but also knowing what I didn't know and what could cause me a problem was kind of a huge part of why I started Filevine. I wanted to know what the people I had asked to do something, what they hadn't done, but they should have done already.
And one of the things that's cool, they're based right here in Salt Lake City, and they've been a customer of ours for a while, and Ryan and I hadn't met, and we were getting to do a renewal with them, and my sales rep comes to me and said, hey, Ryan's not redoing the deal unless you go up to his place and meet him at his office. So I said, okay, I would love to go meet him. And it's been one of the things that I've always appreciated about attorneys, no jokes at all, in all seriousness, is they're great advisors.
Yeah.
Sage wisdom, they've seen the show many, many times before. So how do you facilitate that trusted component? Because I think that's, for me, the highest value add that you get is the advice, helping you navigate things that you haven't been through before, helping you understand how you should emotionally feel about certain situations that you might have trepidation about. So how do you facilitate that?
I mean, look, I could wax on for a very long time about lawyers. Yeah. I mean, look, the reason you can go to the store and buy a jug of milk, the reason you and know that it's safe, the reason you know that you can sue somebody if they do something wrong, the reason you as a CEO and I as a CEO are held accountable is because of lawyers. I think lawyers, there's a lot of them in America, and they do a lot of suing and a lot of litigation, and yet we have the most vibrant economy in the world. There's a lot of people who would say, well, we have a great economy in spite of lawyers, but I don't think those two things are related in that way. I think it's much more likely that we have the best economy in the world because of lawyers, so I'm a huge fan. Yeah, that's...
So what about when you got started, and I think obviously thinking about law firms as your target audience, it was fun as we were getting to know each other, think about the opportunity for you is really every company that's out there, because every company that's out there has, especially the large ones, have sometimes very large legal practices inside their organization. What's the scope of opportunity for you?
Oh my gosh, so I'll give you one example. So, and they're everywhere. I mean, Filevine has police departments and big corporations and just tiny little law firms and huge law firms. So it really is everywhere. But I'll give you an example.
So it's more about the files at this point.
It's more about the files, and
about...
you really had it with that sort of structured and unstructured information, and I'll kind of get to how Domo helps a lot with this. But like Kroger, for instance, you wouldn't think like Kroger needs a ton of legal practice management software, but Kroger has 20,000 people working in their stores, and they're union employees, and they file a lot of complaints with the union. And every single one of those complaints has to be tracked and handled by an internal team at Kroger, of which there are hundreds who simply manage those employees and the work and the complaints that they make to their union. And somebody needs to track all that. That's what we do.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about how you guys are leveraging Domo for your business.
And I say this for real, like I realize I'm on stage here, but first of all, I as a customer love Domo. I use it every day, all the time. I've probably looked at it 3 or 4 times today. But our customers, say what?
It's 9 o'clock. You've already checked.
I have. So one of the things that Domo does for me personally is not only does it sort of tell me like how the business is going, but you may know this, Josh. I'm sure you've seen this. It's easier to get somebody to buy your software than it is to get them to use your software. And we are really nuts at Filevine about tracking our usage across every single feature we build. If we build a feature, we want to know how our customers are using it right away. So we actually, like as part of a PRD, when somebody's putting out a feature, they have to tell us how they're going to measure the customer's usage.
Cool.
So across my Domo, I know exactly what our customers are doing every time we release a feature. So it's a big deal for me in that way. For our customers, boy, so they're going to track every single case, every single to-do, and what they're looking for is, hey, these things should have happened in these files, and Domo's going to tell me when it doesn't and send me an alert. That's extremely valuable for an OCD managing partner who doesn't want to make mistakes and doesn't want errors.
Okay. Yeah, so Filevine's a big user of Domo everywhere, and it's always interesting as we talk to customers, as they mature, as their use cases change, there's generally an opportunity to use Domo everywhere to get information out to their customers, out to their vendors, out to their partners. You leverage Domo everywhere in quite a big way. Help us understand a little bit about what your customers are getting at, how that relationship has evolved.
Yeah, so law firms and the businesses that use Filevine have a lot of things to track. Again, the data that they're tracking is often, it's not just business critical, it's legal critical. So imagine for a minute a business that gets served multiple subpoenas. So I won't out some of our customers, but some of our customers get a lot of subpoenas, a lot, like hundreds in a month. Well, if you don't answer a subpoena, that's contempt of court. That's a really big deal. So when that subpoena comes in, you have a date by which you have to get it done. Domo's going to tell you how many you got that month, which ones have been responded to, who's responded to them, how any of them that are coming up and you haven't prepared what you need to prepare to respond to that subpoena. Domo's going to be able to tell you at scale for our customers when those things are due and who's doing them and when they have to be done. Really critical stuff.
And do they pull other data, external data into that?
They often do. So yeah, so a lot of our customers are just using Filevine data, but in many cases they're pulling all sorts of data together to look at, maybe it's more on the growth side, so they're looking at kind of where they get their lead flow and how they get their clients, and so they're pulling in Google Analytics, they're pulling in financial data, they're pulling in case data all at once to kind of see how the business.
One thing I think would be helpful for everyone to understand is you've been able to turn a tech purchase relationship from a cost center into more than a cost center, into a revenue center as well. Can you give people some insight into that?
Yeah, we make a lot of money off Domo everywhere. I probably shouldn't tell you the exact number, but you'd want to renegotiate the deal. But we actually do really well off Domo. It's an important product in our product mix. And in fact, I was telling Josh before we got on stage, of course, like every SaaS company, we care a lot about customers that might leave us. And our customers that buy Domo everywhere and Filevine have the lowest churn rate of every single customer cohort in our business. And Filevine's a retentive business. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Our retention rate's 95.5%, but for customers that buy Domo, it's nearly 100. It's above 99%.
That's amazing. 95.5% retention. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So yeah, I think that's something to think about in your business. One thing that Filevine's done great at is leveraging the data that they have that they have about their customers and turning that into an opportunity for revenue. And that's something I think really is an opportunity for everybody that's here. So in terms of approximate size, I don't know if you talk about those things. Where are you guys at? How do we become investors?
The business is doing really well. Suffice it to say, we're a 9-figure business, and
growing
well over 50%.
Well over 50%.
Yeah.
9-figure
well over
business. 50%. And you're going to go public.
Gosh, this sounds like a board meeting. Gosh. Probably in the next 2 to 3 years, I think it's quite likely that we go public.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess, give us 2 more questions. One question about AI.
Sure.
How have you used AI, and how have you grown? Have you been able to generate revenue from AI in the way that you help your customers access it? Tell me about that part of your business.
Yeah, so we generate a lot of revenue from AI. I'll give you some numbers. Our first AI products launched in June of 2023. To be honest, I probably have customers in the audience. They were just okay in June of 2023, but our AI revenue will be many tens of millions of dollars by the end of it. It's many tens of millions of dollars now. It may approach 9 figures by the end of this year. So it's a dramatic increase in sort of our revenue mix. Lawyers love AI. They need it. There's a whole bunch of reasons for it. I could work on this problem for my entire day. Probably a third of our engineering team is now working on AI. So it's really important to us. And look, Filevine is the center for all the data that a law firm needs and uses. And so for us, the important thing is to make the data really easy to get into the system so that AI can output it in a way that makes it super easy for our customers.
And we talked a lot about AI yesterday. Many of our sessions have been about AI. So I guess my last question for you, wax philosophical, give us your insight into what does the future look like? How does AI affect our lives, our businesses?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. So I'm an opinionated guy. If anybody here knows me, I sort of like to have a few controversial opinions. I think AI is actually overhyped. And this is a guy who has a business that really depends on AI. I actually think it's overhyped to a certain degree. Here's what it's good at. It's really good at suggestion, to some degree extraction, and agentics, I think it's getting better and better at. Let me talk about suggestion. So when AI can give you, hey, here's some things you should look at, or here's some things you should think about doing, it's at its best. And the reason it's at its best in that situation is because a learned professional can say, oh, I'll take that suggestion, that's a really good idea, and I'll do something with it. For instance, in Filevine, we have a product called Depo Copilot that actually suggests questions for lawyers during a deposition. A lawyer can use the question or not use the question. That's super low risk, but also really high reward if there's a great question they wouldn't have thought of.
Those kind of workflows where there's suggestions, there's a human in the loop, there's an opportunity to take that suggestion.
That's where it's best. I think that's where it's best. If you need AI to be perfectly accurate, and in many cases in the law, it needs to be damn near perfectly accurate, it's not there, honestly. It's not there. You're going to need a lot of human involvement when you need perfect accuracy.
And then agentic AI, what's the things to watch out for?
Yeah, so look, again, our customers expect almost perfection on their data. I would say 99.999% perfection on their data because of the stakes of what they do. They simply can't be wrong. You can't go in front of a judge with information about your case that's incorrect. But we do a lot of things with AI where our agentics have worked really well. One of the things we do is when a customer says, hey, we want to move this case to maybe a litigation stage. And we know that when it goes to a litigation stage, all these things need to happen. AI will actually go back in our system and check and make sure you've done all the things that need to happen for a case to hit that litigation stage. And it's actually quite good at not missing anything when it's doing those kinds of checks.
Yeah, we had US Bank here yesterday talking. It's another industry where no mistakes.
No mistakes.
So that's great insight. Really appreciate you being here.
Oh my gosh, thanks.
Thank you for being a customer. Thank you for being a great example of how we can go to market together. We really appreciate the partnership.
Awesome.
Let's give it up for Ryan Anderson. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tosh.